Hello, my friends. Once again, I am back with you. I know this is so weird, right? Seeing me days in a row, but I cannot help myself because there is so much to talk about when it comes to hormones. And I want you guys to know these things because we talk so much about the circadian rhythm, about the sun rising and setting and how that affects your health. I thought, we should talk about the rhythm of your cycle syncing as well. We have been talking about hormones this entire month. We went from talking about the myths of hormone transition from perimenopause to menopause. We talked about the gut. We talked about the pelvic floor and incontinence. We've talked about all kinds of things related to our hormones already. And I wanted to throw this in here because it's so important. Doctors are now calling our cycles the fifth vital sign, right up there with pulse, blood pressure, breathing rate. It's the fifth one. I mean, this is crazy, right? That we don't even pay much attention to it. And I don't know about you, but I wasn't taught to pay much attention to it. Those of you who have daughters, I hope that you are teaching them the rhythm of their cycle, the phases of their cycle, teaching them to track their cycle because it is vitally important to your health. There in the cycle, in the rhythm of your cycle, will tell you what your health looks like, really, your health picture, if you're paying attention to it, if you're in sync with it. But so many of us are not in sync and we don't even know what are the phases. So I wanted to talk just short, right? This is a mini session of the Coach's Corner today, short and sweet, but tell you what are the four phases of the cycle in case you don't know. And listen up, ladies, if you're still having a cycle, listen up, because I know that we talked about that 24-hour clock, but you also need to be paying attention to your 28-day clock, that 28-day cycle. And for some of us, it's gotten shorter, right? As we're moving into more transitioning into that perimenopause, menopause state. So maybe for you, it's shorter than 28 days, but there's still a rhythm to it. Now, for those of us who've passed over into the menopause state, you are back on the 24-hour cycle. So this doesn't apply much to you. But have you ever noticed, ladies that are still having a cycle, that are deep in it, that your energy level goes up and down depending on where you are in your cycle? Maybe you haven't noticed that, but it's true. Our energy is affected. Have you noticed how you relate to people changes depending on where you are in your cycle? It happens as well. Have you noticed your productivity changes, the way that you want to work, how quickly you're working, how you feel about work changes? Exercise matters. Food, how can we nourish ourselves depending on which part of the cycle we're on? Well, these are all things I'm going to talk about in the masterclass that's coming up on Monday, 5 o'clock Central Time. If you can't join in live, that's okay too. You will get the replay, so don't worry about that. Hopefully you guys have been tuning into these live videos and you're seeing little snippets, because all these little snippets, we're going to take a deeper dive on Monday night. And I'm going to be able to share the totality with you, plus give you fantastic handouts on food and herbs and toxins and stress and the things that we can do to approach menopause, perimenopause, no matter where you are on that spectrum, supporting the hormones, right? That's what the whole goal is here on the masterclass, is how can we support the hormones? If this is our fifth vital sign, we need to be paying attention, ladies, paying attention. So let's talk quickly about those four phases. And I wrote them down so that I wouldn't forget. So if you see me looking down, that's why. And phase number one, and I'm getting this from Alisa Vitta's book. If you want to take a deeper dive into cycle syncing, this is her book. It's pretty fantastic, in the flow. And she talks about phase number one as being the follicular phase. And I know a lot of times we hear that phase number one is the menstrual phase. So let's flip the script a little bit. And she goes into deeper detail as to why she feels like Phase one is the follicular phase. And that's basically the prepare phase because your hormones during the menstrual cycle are pretty low. So the follicular phase, phase number one, is the time when the hormones start to rise. The estrogen starts to rise, the luteinizing hormone starts to rise, and it's preparing. It's preparing the egg, right? That's the whole point of this um, preparation follicular phase, starting fresh, preparing to rise. And that phase lasts about 7 to 10 days. And that's us too. If you think about, where you are in life, this is the time of preparation. So think about, preparing all the things that we talk about in healthy living that we're preparing ourselves to do for the next week, right? Meal prep, all the things that you prepare should be easier in this week or 2 weeks, wherever you are, 7 to 10 days of that. And then we move into the ovulatory phase, which is the open up phase. And in that ovulatory phase, again, the estrogen is getting really high there, stimulating the release of the egg, and we are in the social and communicative phase. So this is the time for parties, being out, being flirty, really putting yourself out there. So if you have something to do that is social, that is the best time of the month, ladies, for you to be doing social events is during that ovulatory phase, which only lasts about 3 to 4 days. And that's really the optimal time, right, for fertilization. So your body's getting ready to fertilize that egg. And then we move into phase number three, which is the luteal phase. And this is the work phase. So your body has been preparing for this big event of fertilization, right? And it continues to rise with the estrogen. Now progesterone is also rising. And if the fertilization doesn't happen, then at the tail end of that luteal phase, the hormones begin to decline. And this phase lasts about 10 to 14 days. So this phase is where we want to finish up projects, wrap up loose ends. We have pushed ourselves kind of outward with being very communicative and social and open. And now at the tail end of the luteal phase, we start to turn more inward as those hormones begin to drop, getting ready for phase number four, which is the menstrual phase, right? Menstrual cycle. And this is the resting phase. So if you think about working out, if you think about social time, if you think about your energy level during that menstrual phase, which can last 3 to 7 days, depending on you and your particular body, we really want to pull inward, conserve our energy. We're not putting ourselves out there anymore. This is a time for self-reflection and new beginnings, looking inward, getting ready again to start the whole cycle over again with phase number one of the follicular phase. So it just goes round and round in this circular motion, just like the circadian rhythm. We have this whole cycle, 28-day cycle, women, that we are blessed with. I know sometimes we feel like it's a curse, right? But we're blessed with, if we know what's going on in each phase, then we can begin to tailor our energy. We can begin to nourish ourselves with different foods. We can work out and be more intentional about our workouts, right? During the work phase, when things are up, hormones are up, testosterone's up, maybe we're burning more calories at that time, we're able to put on more muscle. But during that menstrual cycle time, maybe we're backing off and doing some yoga. If you're listening to your body and how your body is feeling, you will know, okay, now's the time to put myself out there. I have a lot of energy, I'm feeling great. Or maybe I need to pull back a little bit in my social life and in my workouts. It just depends on where you are in that 4-phase cycle. So don't think of yourself as just the 24-hour biological clock. We actually have two rhythms that we can be pulling from, that we can recognize, that we can nourish ourselves in the whole person. I'm not just talking about nourishing with food, but with relationships and with your energy level. and just the things that are very nourishing to your body. We need to recognize what those are. So again, that masterclass is hormone masterclass is coming up on Monday, 5 o'clock. We're really going to take a deeper dive into the 4 phases. I'm going to give you handouts on what foods go with each phase and also what exercises are best for each phase of your cycle if you're still having a cycle. So we'll also be talking about essential oils because that's another natural way to support your hormones. Lots of things going on coming up on Monday. I'm sure I will be back here with you for another little mini session to talk about another aspect that's coming up in that masterclass. But I wanted to put it out here today to not ignore your cycle, your 28 days cycle, right? Do some cycle syncing, think about your life, plan accordingly, and things will go so much smoother. That's our hope anyway. All right, guys, until next time, be well.